Hi, Nick at Clean PC, and today we're going to be doing a Linux distribution review for Manjaro Linux 20.0.3. Manjaro Linux is based on Arch Linux, and it originates from Austria, Germany, and France. As of today, July 11th, it ranks number 2 on DistroWatch, and they classify it as a distribution for desktop usage, live medium, or usage on Raspberry Pi. Currently running this on ProxMox with 4 CPU and 6 gigs of RAM. Installer was excellent. Graphical install took about 15 minutes, gave you a few options as to what you wanted to install, and really pleased with the overall experience installing Manjaro. As we boot into the desktop environment here, this is running XFCE, and you can see we're greeted by the Welcome to Manjaro, and it's got it broken down into documentation, support, the project, and applications. And if you don't want to see this when you start the machine, you simply take that box and you can close it out. So one of the things I like to do when I review distributions is open the terminal, and we'll go to NeoFetch, and we'll just take a look at all the particulars. You can see the desktop environment, like we said, is XFCE. We can see our CPU, 4 CPU, 6 gigs of memory. We can see we're using a little over 600. And as we go through, I like to run htop, and that'll just kind of show us, as we do different things, the type of load on the PC. So as we look at the menu, really nice graphical menu. Icons are great. You can see they've broken it down into favorites. So we've got terminal, file manager, web browser, and reading your mail. We can look at recently used. We can look at all applications, so this is a full list. And they break it down into categories. So accessories, development, games, graphics, internet, multimedia, office, other, settings, and system. This is great, especially if you're coming from a Windows world. This should be sort of familiar to you. And if you know what you want, you could start typing, and the application choices will come up. We've also got our power options down here. So we could log out, restart, shut down, suspend, switch users. Got the date and time, our volume, our terminal history, our network. And here we have our package manager. So in here we can see the featured applications, some installed, some not. And again, the different categories that you can go into and look for applications you want to install. You can also view what's currently installed. And you can also view what updates are available for the system. So very user-friendly, really nicely done. And I also like that if you right-click on the desktop, you've got some options here, but we can also go to applications like this. And because there's so many applications, I really prefer this listing like this, because now if we go into settings, we can see all these different options that we have. We can look at accessories, development, games, and it just displays it in my opinion, a much more user-friendly way. So one of the things I want to go into is the file manager. And in downloads, I actually downloaded Bootstrap. So I did a few installs on here. So if we go into Bootstrap, and we can click on this, we have the option to open with. Now we've got a couple programs that we can do it with. We're going to open with Genie. And so I know in my distribution reviews I kind of talk about Genie, but just wanted to highlight what a nice tool it is. So over here we can see how it breaks down the members in this JSON file. If we look at this CSS file, it breaks down the classes. In HTML it breaks it down by headings. In the YAML file it just shows you the YAML. And in JavaScript it shows you the functions. So really cool program. Highly recommend if you're using Linux and you haven't tried Genie out, definitely try it out. It wasn't installed by default, but it was a very quick install. We can also open this with Mousepad, which is the stock program, and you can see it does some color coding. I just prefer Genie myself. So I want to take a look here. If we go to desktop settings, so we can see the different backgrounds that we can use. Kind of cool, they show you too where they're stored. And so we look at this, and they're in XFCE. So if we go to other, we can actually see the full path. So what we'll do is we're going to open home, and we're just going to follow it. So we'll go to the root. Then we need to go to user and share. You can just type B, backgrounds comes up. And then in here, if we wanted to, let me cancel out of here in the background. Close this. We can right click and we can open this with the GNU image manipulation program. So if you've never used this, this is kind of like an open source version of Photoshop. It's got a lot of similar functions, really nice to use. And in here, this is one of the backgrounds obviously, but we can go over and we can right click. We have a lot of options here. We can say duplicate layer if we want, and then we can untick this guy, and it's only showing us the top layer now. And we could go into filters, and we could add something if we want. So if we wanted to add a supernova, we could go ahead and do that. It places it right in the middle. We can move it over here if we want. Pretty cool. Also got other filters like the Gaussian blur. So if we did that and we increase it, you can see it gives you the preview and starts to blur the layer. So definitely a nice editing program. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do. It comes installed by default. And we're not going to save the changes here. Again, file manager, really easy to use. Click, we can go into the root. And if we wanted, we could go into Etsy. And in here, lots of options. We can go into cron.d. We could open this with mousepad, and you can see it opens really quickly. Again, if we right click, we go to applications. We can see what we have under system here. Lots of different options. Again, if you want that Manjaro hello, simply click here. This will come back up. And I highly suggest if you use Manjaro, they've got this link for donate. It's going to open up Firefox. And this is really cool. So if you check this out, you can choose your donation method. And they do just an excellent job of showing you kind of how donations are used. So if you scroll down, you can see all the different places the donations go. It's a great support community. Tells you about who's deciding on how donations used. What you get if you donate, a big thank you, which is really cool. How you can see how the donations are spent. So really nicely done by the Manjaro team. They also in Firefox have links to their homepage, so we'll give them a click. Kind of cool if you go here and look at this. Excellent layout, really nicely done website. And you can see the synergy between the website and the operating system. So just kudos to the developers. They've done a fantastic job on both the operating system, their homepage. You can check out the forums. It's a great community. So if you haven't checked them out, go here, sign up for an account, log in, get knowledge if you're new to Manjaro. Once you become experienced, help people, give some of that knowledge back to the community, and that's kind of what keeps open source going. You can also check out their wiki. And these are all bookmarked by default in Firefox for you. And just a quick click for distro watch. Looking at Manjaro here with all the particulars. And it's just a really great, well-performing distribution. I'm so thoroughly impressed with it. Probably in my top 3 favorite distributions. Just really nicely done. You can see not using a ton of RAM either. With not much open, we're only at 670 megs. So I could definitely see this being used as a daily driver. If you do development, if you do image work, really if you do anything, Manjaro is going to kind of take anything you throw at it and be able to do it well. So very impressed. Great job to the developers, to the team supporting the website, the wiki, the forums. Just overall fantastic. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe.